Hello, my name is Teacher Bridget, and I wanted to make this video today to help others who are potentially looking at your mock classes within VIPKID. And when you think about that, it's a very daunting thing to have to think about. But I personally now have to look it up myself still yet. But I have been with VIPKID now for 115 days. I've taught 128 classes, 298 students, and 7,450 hours. So I still remember very much what it's like to have to go through the mock classes and all the other preparation for the VIPKID actual classroom. And I can understand now the reasoning behind it. So I want to give you some really quick tips that I remember that helped me to pass my mock classes. So the first thing that you want to do, I didn't have the nice little classroom setup that I have behind me when I first did my mock classes. I actually just had a sheet, a bedroom sheet hung on the wall and tacked up, because you do still need to make it look like a classroom as much as you can. That being said, all I had was literally, I had a poster board that had my name. You want to make sure your name is there showing, like Bridget or whatever the case may be, because when you meet a student and in your mock classes, you're going to want to be, of course, hi, my name is Teacher Bridget. What's your name? And of course, you want to cup your ear and wait for the student to have to say their name. And then another thing, a very big thing within that intro is to make sure that you say, maybe the name is Bob. Hi, Bob. How are you today? Are you happy? Happy? Oh, I'm glad you're happy, Bob. So that's a nice little way to connect with your student. And again, doesn't cost a lot of money, because I do not have a lot of money. So I just print out the big smiley face emoji and just say, how are you happy? And this is universal. Everyone recognizes the smiley face emoji. So making sure your classroom has a name. The other thing that I used in my beginner classroom was just a map. I had a map to show it as a classroom. And the other big thing that they look at is lighting. They don't like shadows or that sort of thing. They want things to be well lit. They want the student to be able to see everything, and i.e. your student is going to be the person judging you on your mock class. So make sure your name is visible. Make sure you have it set up as a classroom as much as you can. I also had my little VIPKID dinosaur that I kept with me to make reference back to VIPKID. And also I would recommend wearing the classic orange shirt from which is the VIPKID colors. Mine came from Walmart. I didn't have one. I'm actually still working towards tokens of buying one from VIPKID. But I would recommend purchasing a shirt of this color, at least for your mock classes. Now, outside of what your aesthetics of your rooming and your light and what you should look like is, once you get into the classroom, make sure that you have really reviewed those PowerPoint presentations, because I don't know now what lesson they were giving. When I did mine, it was over talking about a doll and a kite. This is my sad little kite that I made for myself. But the other big thing they look for is, of course, TPR. Say if you talk about ball, just point to it and say, ball. Yes, ball. And then you can TPR, ball. Ball. And that's a good way to incorporate your props along with your TPR. With my lesson, we had to talk about a kite. Now, she or they fly a kite. And I made my own kite for the prop, but you could also TPR kite. Kite. And that's another big thing, is to make sure that you're giving enough time for the student to answer. And you say kite. Yes, kite. And give them that time. And you can even tell my language fluctuates, the way my voice changes. That's just an adaptation of many years I've been in the school system teaching since 2007, and I'm actually an adjunct professor now. But this is VIPKID provides me a wonderful opportunity to work with students still, the younger ones. And honestly, I make more money working through VIPKID than I do as an adjunct professor. So I thoroughly enjoy VIPKID, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity. So again, to pass the mock classes, the best advice that I can give is, again, make sure that your classroom looks like a classroom as much as you can. And you don't have to go as overboard as what I have. Make sure that you have a name. You can have a map. Like I said, that's all I had, is I just had a board with a name and a map, and that was it. That's all I had to show to display. Another big thing that they will look for, though, is go out and you can get them really cheaply, a whiteboard. And personally, I like the small whiteboards because you have to keep in mind the screens are very small. And I just like having one like this that I can write on. It's very easy to write on it. Hold it up to the camera. I can show my face when you're pronouncing words. This is something that the Chinese parents like to see, is the use of the whiteboard. VIPKID likes to see you using a whiteboard. So I would highly recommend going out and purchasing a small whiteboard to be able to use within your mock class. Now, some of the other teachers, they'll actually have a big whiteboard behind them, and they will use that. For my own preference, I like the small one. It's more convenient for me, and that's why I like to use it. Another big thing for your mock classes is have a prize. Believe it or not, all these things behind me are prizes that can be offered to students. And it tickles them to death. They love it. And so VIPKID loves for you to be able to present prizes. Now, according to the age, my prizes will vary. Initially, for my younger students, I have the pig. They like stuff like the pig because if I take him apart, you can see you can incorporate other things within your actual prize giving. So you're going to say, oh, I've got this animal here. Every time you do a good job, let's see, what animal are you going to make? And every time they do a good job, you can add a different portion of the pig, and at the same time, you're also teaching them another word. For example, oh, good job. Let's give your animal its head. Oh, look. 2 eyes, head, body. And then you can just proceed from there and add the ears. You can add 1 ear at a time. And then you can talk about how that it now has 2 ears, 2 eyes. And then you can add the feet. And then you can talk about, and you can say feet. Oh, feet. And then you can add the tail. And then lastly, the nose, because obviously that's the dead giveaway. If they haven't figured it out by then, once you put the nose, they can very clearly say, pig. Yes, you made a pig. And then you can go over 2 ears, 2 eyes, nose, head, body, tail, feet. So that's another thing VIPKID likes, is that extension and being able, even within your prizes, to show explaining different, incorporating other words into the language and visually letting the child see it. So that's one of the ones that I actually use, because when I started, it was obviously it's the year of the pig, Chinese New Year, year of the pig. So I thought, well, what better way to do it than we'll have to make a pig. So make sure your prize is equivalent to something that it's also going to help the student to have extension, and you can talk about and add in other English words for your lower, the students that are a lot younger. And you will have students that, I've had students as young as 4 years old. So this sort of thing is really, really good for them. The girls, they like the flower, and this teaches them color. So I can remove each of these petals, and then every time they do a good job, I'll hold up every color, and they can choose what color petal they want to add back to their flower. So this is teaching them colors. It's also helping them with their numbers as well, and they're kind of loose on the board because I'll take the pins out and then I'll hold it up to the screen, because remember, it's a small screen, so the student can actually see the flower that they made. And then I'll hang it back up here and be like, oh, teacher's going to put it up here so that everyone can see this beautiful flower that you just made. Oh, it's gorgeous. And things like that. That will also help with your with the mock lessons. The biggest thing is time. Time was always the thing that got me. It actually took me a few times to pass my mock, and the thing that got me really wasn't my use of TPR or my classroom or my voice and how I would fluctuate my voice to match things. It wasn't the props or anything like that. Mostly what got me was the time. So make sure that you're watching that clock, and you don't want to rush and speak really quickly, because that's something you don't want to do in the regular classroom. You want to speak at what I like to think of as a very even level, so that your students are able to understand, but at the same time, you're moving that lesson along. You're not dragging, because remember, you have, once you get in there, 25 minutes to teach a lesson, and if a student doesn't understand, if you have some extra time, you can address that, but sometimes you have to move on, because most of my students are literally back to back to back to back, and it'll bleed over into the time. And the parents don't like that, and VIPKID doesn't like that either, if you bleed into the time. So that's why in your mock classes, time's a big thing to also look out for. So just to recap very quickly on your mock class for the VIPKID, my advice is someone who has done this not very long ago and has now taught many classes under VIPKID. Make sure that your background is as much of a classroom as you can make it. Like I said, mine started out with a sheet, a poster board with my name, and a map. That was my background. Make sure that your lighting is good. Make sure that you don't have any dark shadows or anything behind you. They do like good lighting. Make sure that you have a prize that you can show that you're awarding to your student. Make sure you incorporate that TPR in some way. Smile, ball, kite, or even fly, swim. Just different things that you can incorporate. And I talk with my hands anyway, so TPR is not a big thing for me. But make sure you do incorporate that, and make sure you do still use props within the classroom. If you have kids, they are wonderful little places to go steal these. If not, I highly recommend the Dollar Tree if you have one in your town, or the Dollar Mart. So make sure you've looked at those slides and know what kind of props that you're going to need to teach this lesson, because they will be looking for it. And of course, again, I would highly recommend wearing the orange of VIPKID. And I would also highly recommend practicing, making sure that you get it down and watching your time. And another thing, I would suggest using the headsets. Obviously, right now I'm not using one, but in class I do use the headsets because the students are told to look for these sorts of things. So it's one of the reasons I wear my hair back like this. Just makes things easier. So here's my little microphone, because when you ask them like something, ball, ball, yes, good job. When you hold your hand up, it's very, very easy to see that visual cue to say the word. And like I said, this just is a good visual for the students to know when to say, when to talk, listen, talk, or say the word. So I would recommend wearing the headset for the mock class, because again, that's something VIPKID does look for. So that is my best advice. Hope that it is helpful. VIPKID is an amazing program. Like I said, I've been with it for not even a year yet, and I've had a blast. So if someone would like to use me for the referral for a reference, I would love to be a mentor and help anyone that I could with the knowledge that I have. And I will put my referral and link below to VIPKID underneath the video so that you can access all of the information. And I wish you the best of luck. It is a lot of fun, and as you can see behind me, it's after a while it morphs into greater things. So best of luck to everyone. If anyone has any questions or concerns, I would be more than happy to help. So just hit that link of referral for me, and I'll be happy to help anyone. So best of luck to everyone with VIPKID. So bye-bye.